promise was a healthcare revolution. The reality was a bloody lie.
Embarking on a journey from the dizzying heights of Silicon Valley innovation to the harrowing depths of legal and ethical turmoil, the Theranos saga marked a watershed moment in the global tech industry, challenging the very ethos of fake it till you make it. This documentary delves into the intricate web of United States versus Theranos, unraveling a story of ambition, deceit, and the relentless pursuit of truth that redefined public trust in biotech entrepreneurship. Before we begin, hit that like and subscribe button, or you might just find your next blood test could be as unreliable as a Theranos machine. In the heart of Silicon Valley, a revolution promised to change healthcare forever. A 19-year-old Stanford dropout, Elizabeth Holmes, launched a startup called Theranos, a blend of therapy and diagnosis. Her vision? To pioneer a technology that could run comprehensive tests using just a few drops of blood. Holmes's charismatic pitch and her company's ambitious goal captivated everyone from investors to the public. She claimed that Theranos could make blood testing faster, cheaper, and less invasive than traditional methods. With a black turtleneck and a deep, commanding voice, she drew inevitable comparisons to Steve Jobs, a parallel that seemed to spell success. Holmes proposed that their cutting-edge Edison machines could process a wide array of tests at a fraction of the current cost, with results available rapidly, thereby avoiding the discomfort of large needles and multiple vials of blood. The innovation had the potential to democratize healthcare, making routine testing accessible and convenient even for those with a fear of needles or a lack of resources. As Theranos started its ascent, it wasn't just the technology that was persuasive, it was the narrative. Holmes spoke of a personal fear of needles that inspired her quest, a tale that struck an emotional chord. She wasn't just building a company. She was on a mission to save lives. Investors lined up for the promise of a Silicon Valley-style disruption to the staid industry of blood testing. It was a field ripe for innovation, undisturbed for decades, now seemingly on the cusp of a fundamental shift. Theranos' valuation soared, eventually reaching an astounding $9 billion. But beneath the sheen of this compelling tale, questions simmered. Could Theranos truly deliver on its bold promises? Was their technology truly as revolutionary as claimed? The answers to those questions would soon shake the very foundations of Silicon Valley. On the back of these astounding claims, Theranos' ascent was nothing short of stratospheric. Valued at over $9 billion, it was heralded as one of the most significant players in the health technology space, a unicorn poised to disrupt the medical landscape. Elizabeth Holmes wasn't just winning over the media and the public. She was also forging major partnerships with household names. One of the early believers in Theranos was Walgreens, the pharmacy giant. Eager to innovate and bring convenient lab testing to its stores, Walgreens struck a deal that would allow Theranos wellness centers to set up shop within its pharmacies. Another retail heavyweight, Safeway, joined the fray, investing hundreds of millions to retrofit their stores with clinics that would offer Theranos' finger prick tests. The vision was grand, a future where grocery shopping and blood testing could happen under one roof, simplifying the lives of millions. For Safeway and Walgreens, the partnership with Theranos wasn't just about customer convenience. It represented a significant move into the preventative care market. The allure of having patients regularly entering their stores for blood tests and potentially doing their shopping was a retail dream scenario. The boldness of Theranos' promises and the caliber of their partnerships painted a picture of a future transformed. In speeches and interviews, Holmes spoke of a world where no one would have to say goodbye too soon to people they loved, all underpinned by the revolutionary science that Theranos was championing. Capitalizing on a mix of healthcare anxiety and the ubiquitous quest for efficiency, Theranos seemed to cement its position not just as a medical innovator, but as a cultural phenomenon. The public and investors alike were captivated by the vision of a world in which taking control of one's health was as simple and quick as a trip to the local pharmacy. Yet, despite these high-profile partnerships and the facade of confidence, there were undercurrents of doubt that started to emerge. Was the technology truly ready for the limelight? Or was Theranos running ahead of its capabilities? The story unfolding would force everyone to grapple with questions at the intersection of technology, business ethics, and the essence of truth itself. The Theranos story, with its blend of groundbreaking innovation and compelling leadership, became a media phenomenon. Elizabeth Holmes graced magazine covers, her company's narrative captured in glowing headlines, and the future of healthcare seemed to be at the cusp of a major transformation. Magazines, newspapers, and television shows were eager to share the Theranos story. Holmes herself was often at the forefront, speaking at prestigious conferences, delivering a narrative of change and hope that resonated beyond the confines of Silicon Valley to a global audience eager for positive change. But as Theranos basked in this media glow, scrutiny was quietly brewing. A turning point came with a Wall Street Journal article penned by investigative reporter John Carreyrou, which cast long shadows over the sunny stories that had been told. The article leveled serious concerns about the reliability of Theranos' blood tests. Sources came forward with claims that the technology was flawed, that the company had been using traditional blood testing machines for most of its tests, and that there was a disconnect between the company's public image and the actual performance of its proprietary Edison machines. These revelations sent shockwaves through the medical community and the tech world. The article didn't just question Theranos' technology. It suggested that there was potentially a massive breach of trust at the heart of Holmes' venture. In the wake of these allegations, federal regulators, including the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, and the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, began to investigate. The stark contrast between the utopian promises of Theranos and the reality exposed by diligent reporting led to a cascade of inquiries into the company's practices. As the investigations deepened, they peeled back layers of what appeared to be a carefully manufactured facade. The scrutiny was no longer about whether Theranos was living up to its high expectations. It was about whether those expectations were ever grounded in reality. The media frenzy turned from adulation to skepticism, and Theranos was swiftly transitioning from a beacon of innovation to a cautionary tale. The empire built on the dream of revolutionizing blood testing was now on the defense, its previously unshakable foundation starting to show cracks that could not be easily mended. As federal investigations delved into the heart of Theranos, the findings were nothing short of damning. What emerged from the inquiry was a disturbing picture of a company that had, according to investigators, prioritized secrecy over transparency and, as it turned out, deception over truth. The tech at the core of Theranos, the Edison machines, were revealed to be unreliable, often producing inaccurate and inconsistent results. The company, heralded as a trailblazer in the medical field, had been using commercially available machines for much of their testing, a fact concealed from the public and partners alike. Investigators found that the company had not only misrepresented the capabilities of its technology, but had also failed to meet basic industry standards for laboratory practices. The issues were systemic, indicating a willful disregard for the protocols and procedures designed to ensure patient safety and the accuracy of medical tests. These revelations led to serious consequences. As the reality of the situation became clear, regulators acted decisively. Theranos faced the nullification of thousands of blood tests and a crippling blow to its clinical lab operations. For those patients who had received Theranos tests, the implications were personal and profound. The test results they had received could no longer be trusted. The fallout was swift. Elizabeth Holmes, once the face of a new era in health technology, was banned from operating a blood testing service for a period of 2 years. The ban was a clear message from federal agencies about the gravity of the company's wrongdoings. The unraveling of Theranos was not just about flawed technology. It highlighted a broader issue in the tech industry, the myth of the infallible entrepreneur, and the dangers of a culture that sometimes values a compelling story over concrete evidence and due diligence. For Holmes and Theranos, the path forward was fraught with legal challenges and mounting skepticism. From being celebrated as a visionary, Holmes had now become a symbol of caution, a reminder that innovation cannot outpace integrity without consequence. The story of Theranos was morphing from a revolution in healthcare into an unprecedented scandal, with critical lessons for Silicon Valley and the world at large. The unraveling of Theranos reached its critical juncture as Elizabeth Holmes and the company's former president, Ramesh Balwani, found themselves facing the full weight of the law. They were indicted by the federal government on multiple counts, charged with operating a multi-million-dollar scheme to defraud patients, doctors, and investors. Prosecutors laid bare a startling array of allegations. Holmes and Balwani were accused of not only making false claims about the effectiveness of their blood testing technology, but also of orchestrating an elaborate ruse that convinced stakeholders of their success while knowing that their machines were not capable of producing accurate and reliable results. The indictment painted a picture of a deceit designed to attract lucrative financial backing. It was claimed that the duo had deliberately misled investors about the state of Theranos' technology, its financial performance, and its future prospects. It became evident that there were machinations at play to project an image of technological breakthrough and profitability where there was none. Through marketing and personal persuasion, Holmes and Balwani were said to have managed to convince some of the most seasoned investors that Theranos was on the brink of revolutionizing the blood testing industry. The narrative was convincing and the implications enormous. If Theranos had succeeded, it would have meant untold financial and healthcare benefits. However, trusting patients and medical professionals were also caught in the crossfire. The indictment alleged that not only was the financial health of investors put at jeopardy, but the physical health of patients was gambled with carelessly, all with the goal of preserving the company's facade of success and innovation. The legal actions cast a somber shadow over Theranos' former executive duo and began a chapter of reckoning. Charged with significant crimes, Holmes and Balwani now faced the harsh scrutiny of prosecutors and the disappointment of a public that had once celebrated them. Theranos, once the darling of Silicon Valley, was now at the center of one of its most notorious legal battles, its leadership accused of betraying the trust of all who had believed in their vision. The trials of Elizabeth Holmes and Ramesh Balwani marked a watershed moment for Silicon Valley. As they unfolded, the world watched closely, anxious to understand how a company that promised to revolutionize healthcare could falter so dramatically. Holmes stood trial first, her every move chronicled by a rapt media, the courtroom drama playing out like the final act of a Silicon Valley tragedy. The charges were severe, from wire fraud to conspiracy, and the potential penalties, if convicted, would be significant. Throughout her proceedings, the specter of her once unshakable optimism loomed large over a case grounded in grave allegations of deception. As her trial churned on, the spotlight turned to Balwani, awaiting his own day in court. With a similar litany of charges against him, the industry braced for another round of revelations that could further expose the extent of Theranos' internal workings. These high-profile trials did more than just pursue justice for wrongdoings. They forced a profound introspection within startup culture. The fake-it-till-you-make-it ethos, once seen as a hallmark of entrepreneurial determination, was now being scrutinized for how it might enable misconduct. Ethical leadership, always a cornerstone of good governance, came under the microscope. Founders, CEOs, and industry leaders were prompted to reassess not just their business goals, but also the means by which they achieved them. In a world captivated by rapid innovation and the lure of success, the Theranos saga was a dramatic pause, a reason to reflect on the values that underpin business ventures. Investors, too, were impacted. The due diligence that had once seemed sufficient was now inadequate in the face of such elaborate deception. There was a newfound emphasis on thorough vetting, on looking beyond the charm of founders and the glossy veneer of startup pitches. As the trials progress and the full story of Theranos comes to light, its implications reverberate far beyond the courtroom. They call into question the very fabric of Silicon Valley's ethos, the balancing act between groundbreaking ideas and the responsibility to deliver on them truthfully. For entrepreneurs, investors, and the wider public, the saga of Theranos is more than a legal drama. It's a moment of reckoning, signaling a shift towards more conscientious innovation and integrity in the tech industry. Thank you for joining us as we delved into the captivating Theranos saga, unraveling a story of ambition, deceit, and the pursuit of truth. We hope this documentary provided valuable insights into the challenges at the intersection of technology, business ethics, and public trust. We appreciate your support and encourage you to like and subscribe to stay updated on our future videos. Thank you for watching.